Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of News Dabs with Jimmy Young for the Cannabis Multimedia Network. We scour the internet every week looking for the biggest and most interesting stories about the emerging cannabis industry. We start here in the US of A, where it looks like legalization of marijuana is going to be a hot-button political issue for 2020. Most of the Democratic candidates for the presidency are for federal legalization. However, there is one notable exception. And of course, he is not officially announced as a candidate for the presidency. We're talking about former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. You see, in 2002, he made some comments that seemed to be favorable to cannabis advocates, but recently has gone over to the other side of the issue, and he is not for federal legalization. Now, keep in mind, according to a recent poll by the Pew Research Group, 62% of Americans favor legalization. So next year's top reality show in this country is going to be watching that democratic process in action. Who's running? Who's starring in it? Who's not? Who's for it? Who's against it? Flip-flopping is a prerequisite for all politicians, now isn't it? Next up is a new piece of video produced by filmmaker Spike Jones for PharmaCann, the parent company of Verilife, an adult-use dispensary in Wareham, Massachusetts. Once again, another powerful video that is pro-cannabis and serves as a public service announcement.
Hey, you want to witness some history? Okay, back in the day, George and a few of our founding fathers had hemp farms. Yeah, a president grew his own. Look it up. It was normal. But you know what isn't normal? America's 80 years of unjust prohibition, which hasn't made us any safer. And then there's this. They came up with policies like stop and frisk, where anyone can get searched at any... All right, I'm getting a little off track, but the point is, these punishments have been harsh. Like 25 years in a prison, harsh. That's madness. Speaking of, you remember this classic bit of propaganda? Madness? How about wellness? How about everyday good people are using it to calm their pain, their stress, their anxieties? And a product that drove people to the black market is now creating a new global market.
If you want to see that PSA in its entirety, check it out on the homepage of the Cannabis Multimedia Network. That's also where you will find this week's In the Weeds podcast with CEO of Leafwire, Peter Vogel. What is Leafwire, you ask?
We just launched Leafwire about 6 months ago, and you can essentially think about it like a LinkedIn of cannabis. So everything you do in a LinkedIn, meet people, connect, send messages, share news, promote events, even meet investors. You can do all that on Leafwire, and it's all 100% committed to cannabis and hemp industries. Back here in the Bay State of Massachusetts, the 10th adult-use dispensary will be opening this week in the town of Gardner as Sanctuary Medicinals opens, but don't just show up. Make sure you go online to sanctuarymed.com and make an appointment. That is, unless you have a medical card, that card allows you to skip that process and pick up your medicine as needed. Now let's check out the Massachusetts Adult Use Tote Board as we continue to check and monitor the weekly sales of adult use cannabis here in the Bay State. This week supported by the #1 brand in cannabis online, that's Leafly, where you can find out anything about the cannabis world, from education to location to reviews to just plain entertainment. That's Leafly. So, this week's sales figures are down to $4.287 million of adult use sales of cannabis for the week, while the year-to-date figure is now just shy of $45 million at $44,906,000. Locally at the Down the Road Beer Company in Everett, Sensi Magazine held a B2B Sensi Connect night for a few hundred people who are in the cannabis business. Down the Road Brewery is known for its great beer assortments and a great party room. And finally this week, what do Barney Frank, Snoop Dogg, William Weld, and Martha Stewart all have in common? They are all involved with a cannabis company in one way or another. After the introduction of Martha Stewart to Snoop Dogg's Canopy Growth Company, Martha Stewart is now designing a CBD-infused product line for dogs. Again, I don't make this stuff up, folks. It's a whole new world of weed out there. For News Dabs, the weekly news feature for the Cannabis Multimedia Network, I'm Jimmy Young.
Once again, here's a few cannabis-friendly events going on in the greater Boston area over the next week or so.